football at its absolute best.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne.
I think I got my swagger back. Oh.
I love it, baby.
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! By Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch.
Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Sayre. And Tennessee can say hello win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now. McGrath for the win. He got it. If you don't like college football and you watch this one, I'm not sure what your problem is.
Reddit did to do, and welcome into More Important Issues. It is Thursday, June 8th. It is Super Regional Week. It is here. It is time. It is unfortunately in the state of Mississippi. But the last two national champions by way of Mississippi, why not this one?
Why not us?
The very last one by way of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, to be specific.
Yeah. Did they score a run?
I don't believe they did. I would have to double check, but I do not believe Southern Miss scored a run in that Super Regional. So I don't know. Maybe something's.
Well,
maybe
let's keep the
something
streak
about
going.
Let's do it. I think Brett Favre deserves to be in jail, and if they won't do that, then maybe just make it feel like jail to the good folks of Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Yeah, I love the big argument that their stadium is bigger, but literally the pictures, they're just in lawn chairs, like in bushes and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't consider that capacity, but okay.
I think it's a cool stadium. Don't get me wrong, but everything considered, because I mean, listen, I'm not going to sit here and hate on Lindsey Nelson. Also, I love that I've seen environment. Guys, Lindsey Nelson's an environment. Let me tell you about it, especially what it would have been this weekend. Whew.
Yeah,
Hornet's Nest, I believe, is the Vitello term for it.
I think Taylor Swift was going to come too for Zane Denton.
I saw that rumor out there.
Yeah.
Little jealous. Won't lie. Little jealous of you, Zane Denton. But it is what it is.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, very happy for him. I hope that works out for you. Hope you get a song written about you. Maybe not a breakup one though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's something about switch hitters. I don't know.
Interesting. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, it is June. So, all right. We are going to talk about the Supers in Hattiesburg. Going to talk a little bit about the NCAA in a couple of ways, I guess. We've also got guest. We've got a guest for you guys. It is obviously starting to slow down. We still have plenty of baseball left. Shout out. But we are going to talk a little recruiting. Summer is recruiting months, so some big weekends coming up. We've got Matt Ray on to talk. He knows it all. He's the guy. That's why we brought him on. He's going to tell you. So
Yep.
Great little interview with him. Going to have him on here later. If you got any questions, drop them in the chat. Let us know. Probably can't answer them, but we'll try. We do our best. That's all we ask of you. That's all we give is our best. Stupidity is an epidemic, of course. I'm excited for mine, but it does make me have to. I feel good with mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. All right. Before we get into the show, though, I'm going to tell you guys about our good friends over at Underdog. Underdog is Knoxville's best sports collectibles store with a wide selection of UT cards, autographs, and memorabilia. Whether you're looking for a Peyton Manning autographed helmet or the most recent Topps baseball card release, you'll find it at Underdog. The shop is owned by UT graduates and proudly supports UT sports by hosting NIL events throughout the year. Stop by the University Commons Shopping Center next to Publix and Domino's to check them out. Open 6 days a week with live YouTube shows 3 nights per week. Remember to always bet on the Underdog. Guys, check out Underdog. Make sure you're following them on socials. Some exciting stuff coming up, potentially some collabs. So make sure you're following those NIL events that they host or are a part of. Make sure you're checking them out. So you don't want to miss this stuff. It's gonna be fun.
Absolutely. All right. It's Super Regional time, baby. Heading to Mississippi, not exactly what we wanted, but we wanted to be in the Supers, so I guess
won't complain.
It's not all bad. And this team's ready. Griffin Merritt, he spoke with the media today. He's like, well, we'll go play at the Moon if we have to. So love that mentality. Love, I know they want to play at home, but I think it's some maybe bulletin board material a little bit. Maybe shove it back in their face and be like, "Hey, we should have hosted. We were the better team."
Yeah, I think that's kind of the positive you can take from it. Maybe get the guys riled up a little bit, and like we said, we're always looking for that. We talked about in the Florida game, like let's have a bulletin board off. So yeah, I think you do get that. You're probably as a coach, as much as you want to be at home and hosting, you're probably like, this is motivation. This is good. Guys will be angry about something that doesn't really have to do with baseball. Like they're not trying to prove themselves against the game. They can just kind of be pissed off at the world and go play. So I think that's the spin zone that we'll put on it. But I mean, and look, in all seriousness, I really like it's not Tennessee earned the right to host. We knew Hattiesburg would be in the mix when they went up against Penn. And I mean, Landon became a Penn fan. I mean, this dude was
huge.
He bought a Penn hat and shirt. Like he was going, and it didn't work out. So we knew that was on the table, but for so many reasons, is it a miss? I think the one, and we talked about this with Kentucky when they had to put up teams in dorms, like just the physical aspect of hosting it doesn't compare to Knoxville. So it just doesn't. That at the end of the day, to me, that's where it doesn't make sense. Yeah. You want to put on a great event for the parents, the fans, all the visitors coming to town. It's not Hattiesburg versus Knoxville. It's not Hattiesburg, and I'm not saying Knoxville is this just far and away, but it's very clear which has the upper hand. Yeah,
I mean, you just off guidelines that they said that they looked for to select a host, everything pointed to Tennessee. And that's why a lot of people were just like, it's going to be in Hattiesburg, because everything makes sense that it's going to be in Knoxville, and they pick Hattiesburg. And it's just a choke job by the NCAA because, I mean, it looks bad, number one, that you have a committee member whose son plays at Southern Miss.
Ooh, I was not aware of this conspiracy, and I love conspiracy. Why did you not put this on to me early? Put this. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think one guy used to be the AD at Southern Miss.
Okay. You should have you should have let me know about these conspiracy theories earlier, Landon. I would have been a lot of Wikipedia read, I'm sure.
And, I mean, it just doesn't, like, Tennessee has Knoxville has the better accommodations. The stadium it's not much bigger than.
That's about equal. That's kind of my entire overarching point is you can't point at Southern Miss's stadium and go, it's superior. That's why we're playing here. Mm-hmm. Screw the accommodations. No, the facilities are very equal. With maybe there's probably some areas where Southern Miss gets the nod and some areas where Knoxville gets the nod. But yeah, they're not clear-cut winners.
Yeah. In this resume isn't even close. I mean, all the metrics say Tennessee. The RPI, which I don't know, we talk about how stupid the RPI is, but the NCAA loves it apparently. And
they do.
Tennessee is 5 spots higher in RPI than SMU. They have that. They have 20 hotels. Knoxville has like 1,000.
Do they even have 20?
Maybe. I was trying to help them out a little bit.
You've been generous this week. You gave a shout out to the town. I won't even call it a city. The town of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, because they did. I mean, talk about a revival, my man. Driving back from Baton Rouge. Getting that knockoff Zaxby's, which I actually love it, but I'm a Zaxby's guy. Getting that into us was key. Yeah, except for Zaxby's. You all have fueled everything about me, including my fatness. Yeah, so yeah, it's not close. It's not.
Yeah. I just don't understand. Like, I think the NCAA, this is their one thing to hang on to, or they still have some kind of power and authority over somebody. Like, this is their one thing, like, hey, we can decide whatever we want. Why would we seed them? Because seeding them, you don't get to really decide. I guess you do to a certain extent, but you don't get to, like, play God. And I think the NCAA, they always want to play God. And this is, that and, like, looking at somebody's eligibility is the two things that the NCAA just wants to hold on to for some sort of power. Because it would just make sense to seed everybody. Then there wouldn't be a discussion.
Yeah, that's fair point. Yeah.
But when you look at strength of schedule, not even close. Just look at the regional. I mean, they lost to Sanford and played out of the losers bracket.
Auburn was the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
13th ranked, and Clemson was the number 4 ranked national seed, 1 seed. So yeah, definitely. And I mean, that would tell you again, if they, and that's what a lot of, which Southern Miss, I mean, pretty good baseball history. So you think their fans would understand, because they say, oh, well, if you seed it that way, which they don't, but if you seed to, yes, Southern Miss would be higher, but it's not based on seeding at that point. It's based on legitimately just geographics. They want teams playing closer to as close as possible. Obviously, there's some things that just don't work out, but as close as possible to their campus. And so that's how Tennessee ends up at Clemson.
Well, it's all about money too, like how much you can sell, and maybe they can sell a little bit more tickets at Southern Miss. But did they look at the weather at all? Because it's supposed to rain all weekend in Hattiesburg. So
awesome! I did not see this.
Yeah, so I just don't understand like what the reasoning behind it was. But it makes the NCAA look really bad that Tennessee, everything pointed to Tennessee, and they went with Southern Miss because a committee member's son plays for Southern Miss.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the entire reason. I think we should go with that. And it's not even – this one isn't necessarily the Tennessee shaft that we normally see. It doesn't really have anything to do with Tennessee other than the position they're in. Yeah, this is about Southern Miss. Listen, they're all about collusion. Brett Favre went to school there. He's taking money from the poor. I think it's very clear that the morals and ethics of Southern Miss do not uphold to everyone else's. It's very clear.
And I don't get the NCAA, because you talked about Kentucky. They should have been able to host. Putting people in dorms is crappy.
Well, and ISU gives up their regional host, which the athletic director ended up saying it was on him, but end up giving their regional host because they host the Special Olympics that week. I think they say every year, but end up giving a super regional host away.
Put them in a dorm.
Yeah, but it turns out you can do whatever you want. There's no rules. There's no laws. It's a free for all.
Yeah.
It's pretty. That was obviously sad to see. Thankfully, the team still gets obviously a chance to compete. They're traveling to
TCU.
TCU. Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously still a chance to compete, but yeah, that's disappointing. Like, you want to obviously host super regional.
Which really good on TCU's part. I think they've donated like $25,000 to Special Olympics because of that.
It's a low number. I'll call them out. TCU, their athletic department just played in a college football playoff this year. What, $25,000 is all you can spare? I'm sorry, I won't pat their back like that. I'm not patting that back. Nope. Sorry, Jalen Hyatt gave almost that before he was even drafted.
That's just their fans. I don't think that was
okay. So not even So okay, shout out to the fans. Nothing to the athletic department.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Okay.
Ridiculous.
That's fair.
But yeah, fans saved a lot of money. I guess they took all that money they saved for traveling, just donated it. Credit to them. Yeah. I'll give credit to them.
Yeah. That was probably the only way. It was like in-store credit. Like, yeah, you can take it back, but like you got to get in-store credit. That was their one thing they had to donate it.
I like that. No, looking at this game though, or this series, excuse me, I'm curious. Like, does Tennessee kind of roll with how they rolled in regionals, which is obviously a similar layout, even though it's not a series against the same team. Just kind of got to win the same amount of games at the end of the day, potentially more. Andrew Lindsey, Saturday night slasher, Friday night starter, if you're looking at it a standard series.
Yeah, 100%. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think there was a little bit debate of, how they were going to do it for regionals.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because Charlotte was Andrew Lindsey's old team and, whatever. And he wanted the ball. And that's what you want for your Friday night guy. You want him to absolutely want the ball. And I think they would have to kill Andrew Lindsey for him not to start on Saturday night.
Right. Yeah, sorry. I want to call it Saturday night because I told myself if they're going to screw us this way, they're at least going to give us – we talked about it, night baseball, baby.
Yeah.
Which is why we wanted that Friday night anyways. But, yeah, I agree with you. I was just kind of curious what you –
Well, Hattiesburg, they don't have lights, so –
No way.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
I was like, no way. That's not real. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
You got me.
Yeah.
You had me going there. Yeah, I might have stormed the offices in Indianapolis if that was true. Just a heads up. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
But yeah, Southern Miss is a good baseball team. Now they're obviously a good baseball team.
They're playing the Super Regionals.
Yeah. And they were a legit option to host a regional, and did not, and went to Auburn and ended up losing the first game, but came out all the way out of the losers bracket. They're going to ride Tanner Hall. You saw that in the regional. They will throw him 128 pitches, and then 2 days later they'll start him again. He's their All-American, and he was an All-American last year. I think his ERA is right around 2. Tons of strikeouts. What just happened?
I'm sorry. That was me.
Oh, we're good. I was like, I don't like being that close to my own face.
Scared you a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, Tanner Hall is a guy they're going to Slade Wilkes is their hitter. He's hit 20 home runs. I think they've hit 85 as a club. He's hit 20 of them, 58 RBIs, batting around 300. So they have some guys that can hit it, but they pitch it really well. I think as a program, they're right at 4 something in terms of ERA. So they're a good baseball team. They pitch it well, and they hit it pretty well too. But Tennessee, the way that they're pitching right now, I don't think anybody can touch them. And Tanner Hall is also a right-handed pitcher, so it doesn't scare me. If he was a left-handed pitcher, I'd be like, man, this game's going to end 2-1.
Right.
But Tanner Hall is a right-handed hitter, so I think Tennessee's left-handed lineup, that's going to be something to see.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that is, like you said, that they rode him. They needed him in the regional, so it is going to be that I guess it's close to a normal day's rest, depending on when they decide to use him. Mm-hmm. Pretty close, but he went what 100, 120?
Yeah, 120 something. Yeah.
Yeah. So it will be interesting. They also have they're probably working a little magic with their manager retiring. I guess their coach. What do you call it in college baseball? Coach retiring this year. So I would love to go a little Paul
Maneri.
Maneri. I want to call him something else. Yeah, I would love to get a video of him crying in the dugout after this one. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, throw another retirement party. That's the only reason why we're going down there. 7 hours for another retirement party. So, congrats to Coach. Sorry it's going to end this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we asked the question last week, and the answer may still be the same because I think our answers revolved around the season as a whole. Mm-hmm. But this super regional, impact players, offense and defense.
I mean, I think first you got to ride your hot hand right now, and that's Christian Moore.
Okay,
he's seen the ball really well, and I think it's something that you should continue to see. I'm interested to see kind of how the lineup shifts with the bottom of your lineup with Zane Denton and Christian Moore and Blake Burke having some pretty decent days. What that kind of looks like. I'm kind of still in the same boat as like, if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Right.
Because I don't think you're going to see your top 3 hitters as good as they are go over in games.
Yeah, surely not. Yeah.
Yeah. So Christian Moore, and then I want to see Jared Dickey in this one as well. I think he struggled a little bit at the plate this past weekend, but I think he's ready for a fresh start, and there's not a better way to do that than in the Super Regional.
Yeah. Who do you have defensively?
Man, I love the way Drew Beam pitched last weekend. I just don't know if you see him this weekend.
I hope you don't. And that's kind of why I asked that question about Andrew Lindsay, because I was like, yeah, the way he pitched on Friday night, why, like you said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it's like the thought of, obviously, if you win 2 games, you're not going to stress about not seeing Drew Beam. But the thought of having Drew Beam and potentially not seeing him the other way, like that would hurt.
Yeah.
That's why I asked that question, because, yeah, I mean, that would really suck if somehow you got swept. I shouldn't say somehow. I mean, obviously it's possible, and you don't get to see Drew Beam. That would sting. Yeah.
And what's really cool about Tennessee starting pitching, all 3 of these guys, besides Andrew Lindsay, Burns, Beam, Dolander, have pitched in a super regional before.
Yeah, good point.
You don't have to worry about. I mean, I guess you do worry about nerves, but a regional is nerves. If you didn't have nerves in that Clemson game, you're a psychopath. But I mean, these guys have been there before, I don't think Chase Dolander struggles in a second consecutive start. So I look for him to be my defensive guy. Steps up, and you might see him go full 9. He's
Dolander full 9.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. So that kind of goes. I think it's for me. I think it's Burns again. I think I don't know when he comes out of the bullpen, what night. But you saw who they're going to in pinches. Mm-hmm. There's no denying it. It's who they're going to when they know they need to sit guys down. Know they need to keep guys off base, which obviously we saw the bases loaded, whatnot deal, but he still gets out of it somehow. Yeah. So you know who that guy is. So I think it's Chase Burns again. When he's called upon, we need psychopath Chase Burns. We need that guy on the mound. So I think it's him defensively for me again. And then if I need to go to a second one, it's the middle infield. It seemed like all the, again, no errors, but quote unquote mistakes that were made still kind of happen there. It just feels like we've seen how good they are. We've seen the plays like Maui's made, like what he's capable of. So when the quote unquote easy plays aren't made, it's frustrating. And so I think it relies on them just being completely cleaned up this weekend. Offensively, I mean, you heard Tony talk about Zane getting in a groove. I think it's Zane Denton. You need him to hit well this weekend and kind of maybe his confidence and his hitting gets other guys confident. Seeing him do that 2 weeks in a row. So I think it's big if he can just hit well. I'm not asking him for 2 home runs in a game against Clemson to win it all, but hit well and get on base. I think that'd be huge for him, obviously, but everybody around him.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Cal Stark as well because he was so good in that regional and only had 1 hit on the weekend. But man, defensively he was so dang good, and he kept base runners honest, kept them at their base, and then when they did try to stretch it, they're able to throw them out, and that's something Tennessee hasn't done very well much this season. So it was good to see that. And, I think he just keeps on getting better and better as the season goes on and just more comfortable at that position. So, yeah, Cal Stark. You have to get one in.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I mean, I thought Charlie Taylor played well, too. I think you guys talked about this a little bit on the bat flip, like when he gets called upon. And we know his role. Like, we know what his role is. And I thought he did that well, which, I don't know when or if he gets called upon this weekend, but it was nice to be like it. You almost didn't skip a beat going to a new catcher.
Yeah, and Tennessee has depth, which helps them in these series like this.
Right.
And I think it kind of shows. I mean, Tanner Hall's an All-American, but the fact that they tried to throw him 2 days after he pitched 120 pitches kind of tells me they don't have a lot of trust in other guys to go win them a ball game. And I think with Tennessee, it's the opposite. You have so many, we call it the arm barn.
Yeah, we're arm barning. We're arm barn guys.
Yeah, we have so many arms.
I'm not trying to hate on that guy from Houston, but he wasn't a fan of the arm barn. He likes bullpen, but we're arm barn guys on this podcast.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I just think that Tennessee has more depth, and I think they should be the favorite this weekend. They prove that they can win on the road against Clemson and in that tough environment. So it's going to be another tough environment, but I just think Tennessee is a better baseball team, playing better ball right now.
Yeah, I do too. And we going kind of talking about our pitchers. Apparently, Southern Miss is all about trying to rattle the bullpen. I know for a fact from watching them and talking with guys that have been around them, everyone in that bullpen, full on psychopaths. Say whatever you want. Please piss them off more because they're mad at everything in the world when they step on the mound. So, yeah, no, go for it, please. I would love nothing more than for you to try and rattle them and see how far that gets you.
Well, the good thing is you probably won't see much of it. You won't have to see much of their bullpen. So, I mean, yeah, continue to talk to our bullpen and don't worry about our starters just mowing your team down.
Yeah, I mean, you just had Dollander going 9, so I mean,
Yeah. So
yeah.
you can piss them off all you want to on Sunday because it won't matter.
What time is the game Sunday?
They haven't announced it yet.
Okay. I didn't think I had seen it, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm ready for it. It's gonna be a fun weekend, man. And last weekend regionals kind of like it was great baseball. There's so many good games. The only thing that sucked was the weather delays. So hopefully we don't get that. Because I did stay up late. I guess that was Sunday night. Was that Oregon Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
Yeah, that game, obviously it was no, Vanderbilt got beat early. They got beat before the show, didn't they?
Yeah.
Or maybe, yeah. So who was it late? It was
maybe Arkansas?
I think it was Arkansas and Santa Monica in that? No, they played Monday. Arkansas, they had to play that elimination game though that night. That's the one.
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara.
Okay.
One of those Santas. Santa's pub. One of them.
Yeah.
So we already got. Do you have anything else for the NCAA?
I don't. They
other than just double birds.
Yeah, they suck.
Get Steven in here. Let's get him double bird in the NCAA.
Man, let's go win, baby. What are we doing for the game? Where are we going? We going anywhere?
I'm gonna be at your pool.
Okay, going to.
I almost got in your. I had to drop off Boone in your neighborhood. I almost came in. I was like, I'm just gonna get in their pool for a minute.
Dude, it was cold today.
Was it?
Yeah.
It really wasn't that hot outside. I was shocked. It
got
warm, but it wasn't.
So yeah,
it was comfortable. Like it was good weather. Good weather.
It was colder this morning. That's why it was cold.
Gotcha. But I'm gonna start just like I'm gonna bring a blowtorch over there and just like heat up the pipes the water runs through or something. You seen those redneck hot tubs? That's what I'm gonna do. Your pool. I think you have plastic, but we'll do it.
Yeah, we can get in the hot tub.
We'll make it work. All right. I mean, dude, I'm always down for the hot tub. Y'all are gonna get an episode in the hot tub eventually. It's gonna be weird, but you're gonna love it.
Yeah, it's gonna be so much
fun. All right. So NCAA football game. I don't think they're gonna call it the NCAA anymore. NCAA what would we be on 20? It'd be 24 if it came out this year. It'll be 25. I guess will be the first one.
University of Football.
That's actually a pretty good name.
Yeah.
What was that? Do you remember that game? I think it was like a Facebook game where you like created you were like essentially like the athletic director.
Yeah, it was like
a stadium and
something town. I feel like
maybe university. No, I feel like it had something with university in it. I don't know. It was a lot of fun though.
It was
whatever
fun.
That was.
Yeah.
I don't know if fun's the right word. I enjoyed playing it though.
Dude, Facebook was huge to have like those types of games, and then they just all kind of like died.
I've never gotten into Farmville, thankfully. I got a lot of requests for Farmville friends and other things and feed my pigs or something. I don't know, but never did that. Yeah, it was that other game. That's the only game I played on Facebook. Maybe I wasn't cool enough for the other ones.
Yeah, I guess not.
Whatever. But yeah, this it's gonna be interesting. Apparently, a lot of players are not happy with what the amount would be. I don't know what Madden. Can you see if you guys can find that real quick back there?
I read some today where it was like, I don't know if this is true, but they're like they've seen where they've made up to $17,000 off Madden.
The players have.
Correct.
But also think about how many players are in Madden versus how many would need to be in NCAA.
Right.
That would dilute that payment substantially.
Yes.
I think they all get the same amount through Madden because I think it's done by the CBA.
Okay.
I think they all make the same amount. There's obviously players and coaches that opt out of it. So that's an option. So I think there's definitely there'll be a hiccup where they got to kind of rework it and figure it out because they've never done this with NCAA. And I don't know what organization they are working with. It's obviously not the same. I'm sure that organization is going to have to lean on the CBA, like the NFL Player Association, not CBA, NFL Player Association, to figure out how to like navigate this negotiations. And 500 may be low, but I'm also just like, all right, just don't be in the game then. Like that's fine.
Yeah, what I was reading, it was like if you opt in, you'll be paid $500. Well, if you opt out, you're not in the game. I don't understand what the hiccup really. It's a yes or no. Do you want the $500? Yes. Okay, you're in the game. Do you want the $500? No. Okay, you're not in the game. I don't understand what the.
I don't think this will. I don't think this will hold it up. I don't think it'll be a big problem at all because they do it with Madden every year, and Joey saw 17,000 as well. but it depends on the player. Interesting. So they do. I thought they all got paid the same. Interesting.
Yeah.
So that kind of throws some other things.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, I mean, obviously, there's some players that you probably never heard of in Madden.
Right.
But I mean, there's going to be a crap ton in. So I mean, the majority of the player in college football is like, yeah, absolutely, $500, sign me up.
I mean, for me, it's just like if I played between the years of 2014, because the last game came out in 2013, between the years of 2014 and now, I would be very just upset. You grow up playing NCAA and you're in the game, which was part of the problem. But I would be very upset that I never got to play a video game that I was in. That would be disappointing for me.
Yeah.
I don't need, like, for me, especially at $500, $17,000 now. Yeah, I'd like that money. 500, that would be nice. And yeah, sure. And a lot of people are like, well, these quarterbacks, they're not the ones that make a lot of money. They're not gonna be happy. But if they're making a lot of money, why do they?
Exactly. The people that want more money are the people that are going to make millions in the NFL in a year or so. So
and I used to buy, when I was a kid, I had a bunch of random college football jerseys that I would ask for like Christmas and stuff because of people I play with in NCAA. Yeah. So like that's just another avenue to make money because kids are gonna play with you. I had a who was it? I had an Oregon jersey. I don't remember who it was now. No, that was
Anthony Thomas.
Too old. No, I don't remember who it was. I had a Jeff Samardzija jersey, Notre Dame jersey.
Is it Jeremiah?
My dad hated buying that for me.
I want to say Fazoli, but that's not right.
Love Fazoli's though. I do love Fazoli's. I also had a it was a USC jersey. Who was that? I don't think it was Reggie Bush. I think it was after Reggie Bush. I don't know who it was. But
Jeremiah Mazzoli.
It's possible. I don't remember who it was. But it was a cool Oregon jersey. I know that.
You know what number it was?
I could go back and look at pictures and tell you.
Okay. But
no, not off the top of my head. But yeah, so like that's another thing. Like you can create fans.
You got a LeGarrette Blount jersey. That's what you got.
Yes, that's it. Absolutely. That would actually be cool to have a LeGarrette Blount Oregon jersey.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool.
They come with like brass knuckles or something.
I'm sure. Yeah. What I would really want is a Frank Gore.
Oh,
and hope it came with the pants that he's wearing. We have a Frank Gore of the week. Can you all have that picture ready? We do that. Obviously, every year, Shaft of the Draft, we'll have that. Don't worry, Frank Gore Shaft of the Draft. But this is a Frank Gore of the week. If one of y'all have sent it in the group message, can upload that. But yeah, no, I think I just can't imagine being mad about not getting paid for a video game.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. It's like, I mean, the thing is, like, the NCAA before, like, they made the players like they are, but they just didn't name them.
Right.
And I understand, like, hey, if you don't want that, that is your, that's your right.
Yeah, 1,000%.
But yeah, I just can't imagine, like, and I'm not even, because of the players, that's not like what I care about. I'm doing a dynasty where, I'm in 2045, like, I'm not going to care.
No, I end up with so many random players, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in there to recruit players that no one has ever heard of. So to take the spots of Drake May or a Caleb Williams. So
yeah. No. That's where was I going with that? No, yeah, I mean you're gonna get created, but yeah, I'm with you. In dynasty mode, I don't play, like, I end up with nobody that's real unless I go in and create names. And sometimes I will, but usually it's names. Usually it's names like Rowdy Beers and
I feel like the only way you'd really want that is if you're playing like other people.
Right.
Or if you're doing like a like Ultimate Team or whatever, which NCAA didn't do that before. Maybe they.
I think they will because they're gonna find a way to make money.
Yeah.
And the last game they had was like similar to Ultimate Team. Like they kind of were gearing towards that. They did that Heisman like campaign where you would play, like, it was kind of Ultimate Team-esque where it had the old popular and Hall of Fame players in it. So like they were kind of like moving towards having those guys in the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure they'll have like the historic teams in there too with the new game.
But yeah, I don't want this to put the game off any longer. Get it out. If you can't come to an agreement, just don't put the players in. Some nerd that has a lot of time on their hands, beautiful nerd. I shouldn't say nerd. I appreciate them, but they'll make the rosters anyway. We'll just download them and we'll be all good. So, Caleb's frozen right there. We have a interview with our good friend Matt Ray, so we'll get to that. If y'all have any questions, drop those in the chat. And here is our interview with Matt Ray of VolQuest. We welcome into the show Matt Ray of VolQuest, talking some recruiting. Got a little fried today at a 7-on-7 event. But, Matt, how you doing, man?
I'm good, guys. How are y'all?
Doing well, man. Appreciate you hopping on with us again. I guess we can start with the last time we had you on. You're somewhere different, and now you're with VolQuest. So, kind of how is that transition going?
Yeah, man, it's been terrific. It's everything that I think I had hoped it would be. It's a little different managing and running your own site, and it's really blessed to have the guys around me that I had that were able to help, throughout that time. But it just kind of got to that point, when I started talking with Brent and Austin, and, the opportunity was there, and it was too good to pass up. And so far, it still feels too good to be true most days. And for me, I think VolQuest is the gold standard of the market, and it starts with those two guys especially, and it's been a blast so far through 6 months.
Yeah, that's awesome, because we kind of got started this kind of the same time you got started in kind of this recruiting world. So yeah, it's awesome to see where you're at, and you can tell us exactly what you think about Eric Kane and Austin Price.
Oh yeah, we better hide that for behind the scenes.
Yeah. So this recruiting class is coming together. I know Monday was, I guess it wasn't a huge surprise, but it just felt like it all came at once. So kind of what are your thoughts on, those three guys choosing to go elsewhere?
Yeah, so we'll start with Sammy Brown, I think. Not a major shock there. I just think the timing, of Sammy's commitment to Clemson was interesting. I think folks around him kind of maybe wanted him to continue to go through some visits and see some other places. Georgia's on the horizon. He had been there a lot, so I don't think he felt like he needed to go back. Coming into June, it never really felt like Oklahoma and Ohio State were real. Tennessee was going to take their shot in May, and they did, and they really put their best foot forward. But at the end of the day, the Vols were really not, a major factor, down the stretch for Sammy Brown. And it really came down to Clemson and Georgia, and it had been that way for months. But when Clemson is so good at it, and hats off to them, when they get guys up there that first official visit weekend, they're able to lock those guys down, and that's what they were able to do with Sammy. And I think it's a feeling he's had for a little while about Clemson, but I think he wanted to do his due diligence, and he did that. Cameron Fountain
missed the Orange Bowl, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Cameron Fountain, that one came as a surprise to me. Tennessee had been in a really good spot there for a while. Really, dating back to the winter. The Vols were his first big-time offer. They were months ahead of everybody. On that front. And, it really felt like coming out of 865 Live that he was, trending hard to Tennessee. But then he makes it out west. It's the first official visit. The family fell in love with it. USC, I talked to some folks there coming out of the weekend, and they felt like they had put their best foot forward with Cameron Fountain, but they still felt like they were chasing Tennessee in a way. So, I think they were maybe not as shocked, but I think they were a little surprised when they got the call on Monday that he was ready to commit. Now, he's saying he's not going to take any visits. We'll see if that holds true. I just think we're here mid-June. He's in, Atlanta. USC's a long ways out there. There's a lot of places that are going to try to get him on campus. So I feel like Tennessee and others will at least have, they're another chance to swing there later on. And then J.J. Harrell, that was the least surprising one of the bunch to me. It felt like for him that that decommitment had been coming for a little bit. And he committed early in the process, and it's really hard to hold guys, a lot of times when they do that. And I think he was spot on when he said maybe that he rushed. He was ready to, he felt like he might commit to Tennessee even earlier than he did. Alabama got him to slow it down at one point. They wanted to continue to evaluate there. Ole Miss was really trying to get him to slow it down. But then, he felt like he didn't need to see any more, and he committed when he did there in late February. But now it's like, for him, I think he had an injury setback, and he realized maybe, hey, I did, cut myself a little short in this process. So, we're not real surprised to see him open it back up, though. I think Tennessee still be fine at wide receiver.
Do you think having guys like Ron Wingo and Mike Matthews on campus and stuff like that has anything to do with maybe him wanting to look elsewhere?
I don't think so. I mean, I think Tennessee was pretty transparent, in the approach of recruiting all those guys. There was a junior day where maybe all three of them were on campus at the same time. I want to say that was the case. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it was either two of the three or three of the three, and they were all on campus at some point within a 2 week span. That was something that I talked to JJ about, and I don't think that really fended him off any, because one thing for him is he's looking to go potentially team up with Braylon Burnside, another guy from Mississippi. So I think he's interested in playing with good players around him, and I think that's important. So I don't think that was a major deterring factor for him.
Okay. Yeah. And I was kind of curious. I was looking over all the guys that are coming in June and July, which are obviously or I guess June really. There's a big group coming, I guess the 16th. Who are the big guys to kind of look out for that maybe Tennessee's focused on, or maybe ready to start thinking commitment and getting ready for that?
Yeah, so the 16th and the 23rd are big weekends for Tennessee. And didn't host anybody last weekend, just a couple of guys in this weekend. And in the 16th, there's some important guys on campus. But I think, again, it starts with Williams, Waneri, and Camarion Franklin. Two guys that you can really build around in the trenches in this class. And Tennessee's deep in both of those recruitments. With a little ways to go, it's felt like Tennessee's been in a good spot there for the past couple of months, but you get more of a feel on those official visits. For both of those guys. For Waneri, I think the visit's really important. He was at Georgia. It will have been 2 weeks by the time he came in. They made a little bit of noise. He's going to Oklahoma, who, when you speak to most people about him, feels like, they're the team right there neck and neck with Tennessee. And they really wanted to get him to campus the same weekend that he's coming to Tennessee. I mean, that was a big talking point. That's their weekend. The weekend of the 16th, gotcha. The weekend they're having their top guys in when they're trying to lock guys down. But he opted for Tennessee, so that's never a bad thing. Now he's going to take some. He's going to take some more official visits, but just a really, really freaky talent. And same for Camarion Franklin. Now, he's got some more official visits scheduled after Tennessee, but the Vols continue to sit, pretty well there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you want to catch Georgia and Alabama, and to do that, it starts with recruiting. So, who are those kind of guys that Tennessee is in with that maybe they can win some of those battles like they have with Squirrel White and others that they need to do?
Well, I think Austin and I both touched on this. Austin's especially touched on this. When you get in these big time battles, I mean, look at Cameron Fountain. Like nobody saw that coming. Kind of came out of left field. And those are just big boy battles, and there's a lot of twists and turns to them. You're not going to win them all, right? But to start catching up to the Alabamas and Georgias of the world, you need to win your fair share. You need to win some, and Tennessee did that last cycle with Arion Carter and David Hobbs, especially late there, really outdoing Georgia for Hobbs and Alabama for Carter. This time around, Waneri that I mentioned is a big name. Franklin that I mentioned is a big name. Mike Matthews, coming in on the 23rd, feels like he's a guy, consensus 5-star from the state of Georgia. Nationally recognized recruit for the last couple of seasons. He's going to be a guy that Tennessee has a real shot at down the stretch. You need to close with him in my opinion. He's a guy that's important in this class. And then you'll have a chance, to continue to recruit others like Ron Wingo deeper into the fall. But that collection, guys, there's so many important guys to this class still. You don't want to leave anybody out. Amari Jefferson, in my opinion, is really, really important when you start talking about receivers. He's a priority at Tennessee, and you can look at that in terms of, he's an hour and 10 minutes away from campus. No, it's not just that. He's a really, really good football player. He fits what you want to do. He's big. He can run really, really well after the catch. So he's another guy that I think when folks tend to talk about, Mike Matthews and Ron Wingo, those guys deserve, the attention they're getting. But don't forget Amari Jefferson and take the star ratings out of the picture, right? I mean, it's a top 3 of Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. That's all you need to know. He's going to decide between those 3. Somebody else might shake it up, but those are the official visits scheduled right now. And that kind of paints the picture as to why he's a priority, regardless of where he's at.
Pretty good baseball player too, isn't he?
Yeah, real good baseball player. Real good.
So I do want to talk about that a little bit. Does football kind of, I don't know, it's been that way in the past, like Trayvon Flowers and I think Parker Ball at some point was thinking about playing baseball, but they just never got over to the baseball facility. Is that something this staff might look at differently, or was football's king?
I think it's interesting with Amari, but it just feels like the way that his recruitment has taken this turn to, national football recruit, it just feels like he's going to play football primarily. Now, maybe there's a situation, where it unfolds differently. But, I mean, if you look back to Trayvon Flowers' recruitment, he was a late find by Jeremy Pruitt. He came out for his senior year at Tucker High School and, had a really good year on the field there. But, heck, he was an all-world outfielder. So it felt like for him it might be, baseball more than football. He ended up playing football and what was productive, in his time at Tennessee. For Amari Jefferson, he's a really, really good baseball player now. I think he'll learn more about where he stands as a baseball player this summer. That's something that he's talked to me a pretty good bit about. This summer's important to him. He'll learn a little bit more about his pro prospects and whatnot. But, even when you start looking really kind of across the country over the last few years, it just doesn't seem to happen anymore where you're balancing those two sports. Did Jameis Winston, he played a little bit of baseball at Florida State, right? But not a lot.
Yeah, I think the only one that really comes to mind is John Rice Plumlee currently.
Yeah,
I feel like it's only Ole Miss is the only school you see that has two sport guys now because they had that. Was it defensive lineman this past season?
What was his name?
Yeah,
can't remember.
Tywon Malone. Yeah.
And then they've had some other guys recently too.
I don't know if he's there anymore.
Yeah. But Jameis was in a baseball uniform. I don't think he was there a lot, but he fielded some balls.
Uniform at one point, it might have just been like a scrimmage type deal. Even I don't remember, but it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, he definitely filled some seats. I guess that was the kind of minor league thing there, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting to see if this staff was any different than because Jeremy Pruitt it seemed like come play baseball. It's like so.
Well, I think the interesting part of it is he's already committed to Tennessee for baseball, but clearly right now the focus is on football recruiting.
Right.
So it'll be a minor factor, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's a major factor.
Right. Gotcha. So, the perception of the football program continues to just skyrocket. And it seems like every kind of interview you see with these recruits, it's always talking about how, down to earth the staff is. I know we've seen some of it, and it's been cool to see Josh Heupel, when he got started, it was just about the vision. And he was able to sell guys on that vision. Well, now it's come to fruition where it's actually here. And he's starting to get more and more. Are you seeing with recruits, is that just different than other programs?
Yeah, I don't know that it's so much different as other programs, but I think when you hear Josh Heupel talk about the culture that, they want to have at Tennessee, and you hear recruits talk about how genuine it is, That's very true. I today, for example, on campus 7-on-7, 32 teams. Josh Heupel made his way around to watch all 32 teams. He made it a point to greet kids on each team. Have a conversation. Didn't matter if for the most part, there weren't a lot of kids there with Tennessee offers. But he's still working relationships, talking to folks, and really, at the end of the day, when you started looking around, position coaches at each field, just really the way they interact, the way they work, it all holds true. And, I think that is something that, you don't get to see those inner workings of other programs necessarily, but I think that is something that when we talk to recruits that you hear routinely is how genuine, Josh Heupel and this staff continue to be.
That's just a good business decision. You may have kids on campus today that they might be something in 2 years, or that program might have some guys in 4 or 5 years. That's just a good business decision.
Absolutely.
You can be genuine, but good business decision for sure.
Yep.
As far as I want to ask a question, obviously a little bit with recruiting because we haven't seen these guys, but go back to the 2023 class. Who are the impact guys this season? Who are the guys that maybe they were recruited immediate impact guys?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think a guy that continues just to really, really look the part is Caleb Herring. Has really added a lot of good weight, had a good spring, is comfortable in the program. Wouldn't say necessarily that he had a head start because of his brother Elijah, but it was definitely more comfortable coming in and, had a little bit more of an understanding of what to expect because he's able to pick his brother's mind about what's going on day in and day out and see that type of thing. So, I think Caleb Herring, is a guy that you really circle in the 2023 class. And that was a really good class for Tennessee in a lot of different ways. Right. A guy, if he can, work back from injury that had a good spring and I think continues to come on physically is Ethan Davis in the tight end room. Not going to run out there and, start most likely any week. But there's, right now 3 scholarship guys in that room. So he's going to have some opportunity to play, and Tennessee's going to need him to play at some point. And he really looked the part in the spring. It didn't look like the moment was too big for him, to say the least, as he had some really nice plays in Neyland in the orange and white game before going down with injury. So I think he's another guy that you look at. I think, it's not going to be an impact, right away day one, but, as Tennessee, if they continue to have offensive success, I think you see Cam Selden get some run later in games, as they're running the clock away. I think Tennessee will try to get him some run, get him comfortable in, behind that offensive line. And he's a guy that, can help Tennessee, down the stretch if there are depth issues and whatnot. So, just overall, you never know what the rotation is going to look like. I wouldn't rule out one of the younger defensive backs, finding their way into the rotation. Jordan Matthews, Ricky Gibson, both those guys had, good springs, really looked the part. And then, for me, I think, you look at Nico, and I think everybody wants, to know what he's got. But I think if you're Tennessee, you don't want Nico to have to be an impact player.
No.
You need him to sit and learn and get in when it's time for him to get in. I don't expect him to redshirt, by any stretch of the imagination. You get him his reps where you can get him, but you want to go through the season with Joe Milton.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a prayer.
Yeah, and I think you want to have him in that. Well, Tennessee had the luxury last year where they could play Joe Milton quite a bit, or more than we've seen a backup quarterback play in years past. I do think that is a benefit for a freshman to hey, I know I'm going to sit a year, but at least I'm going to get to play because Tennessee is going to run away with some ball games.
Yeah, it is. And again, I think for Joe Milton, it gives him a chance to embrace the, mentor role a little bit more. He's talked, routinely about how important Hendon Hooker was, to him in that aspect.
Yeah.
Joe came here and won the starting job. But Hendon Hooker helped, after Joe got hurt, Hendon took over and ran with it. That had to be a hard time for Joe Milton, to go, through that and process all that. And, I think the friendship and bond that grew between him and Hendon is something that, you can see continue with Joe and Nico. And I think that's important for the maturation of any young quarterback.
Yeah, we landed another top one in this class with Jake Merklinger. Do you think with this offense, you're always going to have a good quarterback, good wide receivers, just because it's going to be attractive to everybody?
Yeah, I think the offense is attractive. You still got to go out and recruit these guys and find these guys that fit right for you. But Jake Merklinger had some interesting prospects as things went on. He being recruited by North Carolina. Georgia showed some interest later in that. Michigan State really making him a priority and showing him that he had potential to play there. Drake May's not going to be at North Carolina after this fall. He's going to be headed for the NFL draft, so an early opportunity there. But, even with Nico on the roster, Jake Merklinger opted for Knoxville, and that should show what kind of competitor he is.
Yeah.
Is that something that he's good, he's around, he's here to stay? Because, I think that is an interesting thing. If situations change and minds change, but do you think he's locked in?
They do, yeah, and I do think Jake's locked in. He's taking on a leadership role in the class. Understands how important this is. Understands where the future of the offense can go.
Right.
And I think again, in today's day and age, it's going to be so much harder to carry 3 scholarship quarterbacks.
Right.
So even if you're the number 2 guy, you have a chance to play. Let's look back at Alabama. Last fall, Jalen Milroe, he's buried, it would seem, behind the Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young from the year before. But all of a sudden, he's thrown in the mix, and he's got to play good football for, 2-3 games to get Alabama through that before Bryce Young steps back in Knoxville.
Right. Which I would have – all right, well, since you said that, Tennessee beats Alabama by 10 without Bryce Young, right? Can we – I don't think it's a hot take. First off, the offense spotted them 7.
I don't think 10's a hot take. I think it's probably more than that.
That's what I've been told. Bryce Young showed who he was in that game.
Oh, Bryce Young was phenomenal that game. The play that he made down in the end zone. I was working from the sidelines that game. Guys, it was insane. How close they were to him, where that ball was, and then where he fitted into it was just like, how did he do that?
Yep.
And wasn't at 100%.
No.
It wasn't at 100% and was still that good. And I know everybody's worried about the size going to the NFL for Bryce Young, and he had a Heisman season the year before, had some really good moments. But I think if you turn on the tape, and, Alabama fans can say, Bryce wasn't 100%, whatever. He was as good in that game when the adrenaline started flowing and the bullets started flying as he was in any game in his career at Alabama, in my opinion.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. Oh, I hate that it was an Alabama guy, but that's one of the best performances I've ever seen live.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
It makes it even better that they lost.
It does. I do get joy from that.
I do want to talk about the in-state prospects in this upcoming class. You got a few of them committed: Caleb Beasley, Marcus Gorey. Some others in there, Jesse Perry. Who are some others that Tennessee? I know you got to see some today, and Gorey and Boo Carter. Who are some other ones that Tennessee's targeting? And at that 7-on-7 event, were there any others that you got to see?
No, Boo and Gorey were the primary 2. In some classes back, a couple like 2025, 2026, there were some younger guys there that will eventually turn into priorities for Tennessee, as those classes get on the clock. But in 24, Boo and Marcus Gorey were both there at Bradley Central. Both had really good days. Don't sleep on Marcus Gorey, because of star rating. Tennessee really, really likes him. He's really long. He fits what they want to do. He's going to be a really good football. His best football is ahead of him. When I saw him in February, March, somewhere in that timeline when he was getting ready to commit, he weighed 165 pounds, thin but long. Today he was 175. He looked tremendous. Looks like he can hold 185, 190. and he had a really good day out there. And then, you know, I've seen Boo as probably as much as I've seen any prospect in this class. So, you know, you always know what to expect from Boo. He's going to win one-on-one situations when they're on the offensive side of the football, and he's going to cover ground when they're on the defensive side of the football. Elsewhere in the state, I think Ronan O'Connell remains an important target for Tennessee along the offensive line. He's down to Clemson, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. He's already seen Clemson on an official visit in June. He'll see Wisconsin and he'll see Tennessee. And then Edwin Spillman, another guy that you can't overlook. I think everybody thinks that it's a slam dunk for him because his brother's on the team. But Edwin's maintained that he's going to go through the process, and he's got some heavy hitters after him. I mean, Florida State wants him as bad as any school in the country. They hosted him last week and really took their shot. Ohio State and Georgia will swing too, and then Tennessee will be in there, in the middle of the month for his official visit. And I do think Tennessee will be harder to overcome in the end, but it's some big time programs swinging at Edwin Spillman, and then we already touched on Amari Jefferson, of course.
Mm.
And then you have Max Anderson going. He's on his official visit this weekend, correct?
Yes.
Where's Tennessee at with that one?
Yes, for Max Anderson, it kind of feels like right now it's more of a Tennessee-Oklahoma battle. We'll see what he's doing, official visit wise after this. I do expect that he makes the trip to Oklahoma, but Tennessee's he's really connected well with Glenn Ellerby. He had a good relationship with Kevin Pendleton before he came to Tennessee from Missouri. So Tennessee really working Max Anderson hard. He's a guy that they think has a lot of upside, can play a couple of different positions for him. So this is an important visit for him. It'd be the first time that he's been back to campus in a year. But he really liked what he saw the first time around, and he didn't need to see more to know that Tennessee was going to be a long-term contender for him. But it feels like, as Tennessee is recruiting the Midwest more, there's more battles with Oklahoma. And, this one to me feels like Oklahoma's in the mix there based on some people I've talked to. And some others trying to circle in, and we'll see what happens. He has room to fit in more official visits in June if he wants to. But the Vols have a really good chance with him this weekend to make another move.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is a big weekend coming up, and then, a bunch of it. So, that's exciting, though. You mentioned Tennessee just trying to chip away at they've got quite a bit of ground to make up to catch Georgia, especially. That's hopefully we get away from playing them, too, every year. I wouldn't be mad about it. That's be okay with me.
Tennessee's had a murderer's row schedule for a while now. And when you have Alabama and Georgia on there every year, kind of regardless of what happens there in Atlanta, it's tough for any coach to climb out of that hole and then take a step further. Usually, whoever wins in Atlanta is going to have the leg up to win the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough for anybody to overcome. This is the scheduling. The different schedule modes. I haven't dove too deep into that, but at the end of the day, I don't think for Tennessee there's going to be a bad situation. In my opinion, I think they're going to come out of it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Maybe Greg Sankey's getting on our side. Maybe so. We'll see.
I do want to ask. I have one more question. That's all I got. I want you to tell me the most underrated guy that's committed in this class. You talked about Marcus Gorey. Is there? I guess you can mention him, but somebody else if you don't care.
I do think Marcus is pretty underrated. He did bump up to a 4-star recently at on 3. So maybe not as much as he was at the point of his commitment. Man, that's tough. I would probably, I think you can't look past Jeremiah's Hurd for some reasons. I don't know that he's your most underrated because he hasn't played a ton of football, but I think, man, when you look at measurables, he's a guy that jumps off the chart. I think Jesse Perry's a guy who is just starting to scratch the surface of his potential. He comes from a, run-first offense in high school, so, it's hard to probably put a higher ranking on him because you don't know what he looks like in, pass pro. But, man, he bends really well. He's really high IQ. Tennessee's had a couple of chances, to to evaluate him, and then he came in for a camp. So I think he's a guy that you can't sleep on in the class either.
What about Gage Ginther? He's a guy that kind of just like popped up, I guess, for the casual recruiting fans out there.
Yeah. So came to Tennessee, one trip, fell in love with it, made it back home, didn't need to see any more. Kind of a Cameron Fountain situation. Everybody thought Gage Ginther would stay in the Midwest, head to Colorado. Most likely that's where he's from. But he's a guy that I think has some upside as well. I haven't seen him in person as much to really talk about him, but from turning on the film and hearing folks talk about him, can play guard, can play tackle in a pinch. Did get to see him at 865 Live. He really does look the part. Really has a nice frame that he can add to. So, yeah, I mean, Tennessee, they continue to do a really good job of that with their early evaluations and, hitting on those and sticking to those and really getting in on some guys before other schools start swinging, even harder.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just goes back to kind of that relationship. And,
Yep.
If you like a kid, hey, offer. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. Why wait on it, I guess, is kind of how I see it. Where do you think this class finishes? I know it's hard to predict, and I know this next month, I guess, you'll be able to have a better idea. But is Tennessee kind of where you expect them to finish? Maybe top 15?
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if they don't finish top 15. I mean, I think they have a pretty high ceiling. Is that 7? Is that 8? We'll see where that is. If you go back out on the field and you produce the way that you did last fall, and you show even more consistency, where does that ceiling go from there? I don't know. But I do think Tennessee has a chance. And it's, again, you get your fair share of some of these big time battles. A lot of these guys, like the guys we just talked about, I do think they have a chance to climb in the ratings, but a lot of that is, up in the air. So I do think Tennessee has a chance to close, with a, top 12, top 10 class, if all goes according to plan, and it could end up higher. I mean, it's just so tough to predict some of that.
Yeah. I got one more question. It's a personal question. So, and I know I've told you that 3 times, but so you get to visit a lot of high schools. You get to visit these different atmospheres. The ones you've been to, what was your best maybe atmosphere or best stadium in high school football?
Oh man, that's tough.
It helps that I guess Tennessee wise, like you're getting to see a lot more in Tennessee because the talent level in Tennessee is getting
the talent level in Tennessee is definitely improving.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some really big games in the state of Georgia over time, and there's a lot of really good atmospheres. I actually had a game, and I won't name the game or the coach, was actually at a game where the team was ranked nationally, or was winning, and the fans were chanting to fire the head coach.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, so very very interesting atmosphere that day.
Okay.
I think as far as some of the settings and stadiums I've been to, I think Innsworth in Nashville has a really cool setup. Baylor in Chattanooga has a good setup. Baylor McCallie may be one of the best atmospheres that I've been to, honestly. Now that I mentioned that, it's hard to think back through some of them. Mm-hmm. There's some good atmospheres out there. Baylor and McCallie, at McCallie a few years back, when Jay Hardy was there, man, that was a really good atmosphere.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
8 to 10 rows deep around the fence.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chattanooga's got like that grip on like legit high school, private school football. Because like I grew up in Knoxville, so private school football is like these private schools were terrible. Now they're getting better, but
they're getting better, yeah, no doubt.
But I mean, Grace and CAK, like those teams, I mean, you beat them in every sport by a lot. You're getting your freshmen in on some of those games. So, yeah. And do you think do you think the private school, is that just where it's headed? Do you think?
It kind of does feel that way at times, but I mean, the fact of the matter is I think it's always going to even out in a lot of ways. The private schools, I think in the state of Tennessee, the way that it's structured, I think they're always going to, have the bigger collection of talent, especially in that top division. But, Maryville and Alcoa, Oakland, those schools are always going to produce. Riverdale, they're always going to have good talent. I mean, if you look at Riverdale over the last few years, Elijah Herring, Caleb Herring, they got a 2026 defensive back out there right now that already has multiple Power 5 offers.
Oh, wow.
So they continue to have good talent. And I just think as the state continues to grow, people continue to come to Nashville, Knoxville, it's only going to get better from top to bottom. But I do think, overall you'll see more talent, in that, higher division of private ball.
Sure. Well, Matt, really appreciate your time, man. Always a pleasure. We'll have to do it again for sure.
Amen.
But appreciate your hard work and congrats on the new gig. And, you seem to be killing it over there.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, anytime.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Matt. Have a good one, brother.
Thanks, man.
See you. All right. And we are back. That was Matt Ray with VolQuest. Just does a phenomenal job recruiting and handling recruiting and dealing with those relationships. It's not an easy job, but he does phenomenal at it. So really appreciate him coming on and talking about recruiting. Tennessee's in a good spot. I like it.
Yeah,
fun news, big news.
1,000%. Love, and I mean, we're following recruiting. It's just, I guess it was so easy to do when we didn't have so much going on. Now it's harder. So like guys like Matt Ray make it so much easier. And shout out to him. Shout out to him. Any
All
questions?
Right. I don't think
you got
so.
any? Okay.
Balls win this weekend?
Balls win this weekend.
Definitely.
Hey, Omaha, we'll be back.
Yeah, see you there. Let's do segments.
Let's hit a little stupidity.
Joe, Dylan, y'all want to get in here? You're more than welcome.
Dylan gets in here. I've got a stupidity for him. Not really, but I could probably come up with one. All right. My first one's Wes Rucker. I don't know if I still have the tweet. I'll pull it up. And like sentimentally, I agree with him. But then he also just got drugged, and it was very enjoyable. He tweeted, "Looks like I won't be covering the Vols baseball super regional in person. Only seating option I have is one with no view of the field. I'll sit anywhere without complaint, but you can't cover what you can't see. Super great decision on the site, NCAA. You're such a damn joke," was his tweet. Someone from USM tweeted back, "Hi, Wes. Just to clarify, your outlet applied for 2 credentials. We only see one person from each outlet in the press box. All of our other credential media will have a spot in our overflow area with a live shot of the game on TV. Safe travels and hope to see you in Hattiesburg." So your outlet's already covering. Why are you complaining? Also, someone tweeted out a picture. Apparently they have access, like they can see the field, but like they can't see the field the whole time. So like they would have to go back and forth to like use their laptops, stuff like that, but they do have a view of the field apparently. So yeah, just like other people are like other media members are like just dragging him about the tweet. Oh no, just interesting choice. Again, sentimentally as a Tennessee fan, I agree. Should have chose Knoxville. But yeah, I enjoyed that clearly dumb tweet about covering Tennessee and then getting drugged by people.
I love that. Yeah, Southern Miss kind of rebutted that.
They clapped back, no doubt. They clapped back. And you know, if it was anybody else, I would have jumped right in that. But yeah, no, not Wes Rucker. I just laughed, enjoyed it.
Yeah. I got one, and it's former Tennessee player. It's not really about him, but it's kind of just like how recruiting sometimes is. Olivier Kumwa had his top 2 of West Virginia and Baylor, and then committed to Michigan. So,
whoops! Wow.
Yeah, so
That's
I'm just like,
I missed the top 2 coming out. I didn't realize that. So that's interesting.
so I mean, recruiting takes tons of turns. I get it, but it's like if it top 2, and it's like it's not like you're a junior in high school. I mean, this kid is like he has one more year of college eligibility, and you're like playing games like that. It just seems so childish to me, and it kind of makes sense a little bit. The inconsistency with that kid, I mean, just continues even in recruiting. So
good point.
Yeah,
that was interesting. Well,
that's all I got for stupidity. I did want to mention Ben Joyce getting his first win in the MLB last night against the Cubs. Ended up loading the bases, but gets out of the jam, and they end up winning the game. Also, the most 101 plus mile per hour pitches by Angels pitchers.
Wow.
He has that, and he's only thrown 80 pitches in the bigs. 57 has been 101 plus.
That's insane.
The next closest is Jordan Walden. He is 19.
Wow.
Ohtani has 11.
Yeah, I was about to say it's kind of shocking. Like you said, most thrown. I was like, I mean, I don't know what his velocity. Like I don't know what his numbers are, but I knew he threw hard. So it kind of shocked me that like he broke that. Yeah, especially so fast.
Well, the wildest thing is 57 of his 80 pitches has been 101.
That's just stupid. Yeah. Just stupid. I did want to mention our Frank Gore of the week. I was actually told about this contender a while ago when I started mentioning that we had a Frank Gore of the week, and then a picture popped up a couple weeks later. Greg Norman. I mean, wow. Frank Gore of the week. That is, it might be. He's close to dethroning Frank Gore. I mean, gosh. His dog looks that's if you can't tell a happy dog versus a scared dog, that's a scared dog. Because sometimes those happy faces can be confusing. That dog's scared. I'm gonna get that off my screen.
Yeah,
you can keep it if you want. I'm good.
It's like a bad car wreck. I can't.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, hey, shout out Greg Norman. Big week
the
for
dog.
Greg Norman.
Yeah, claps to him.
Lot of good stuff between Liv and PGA apparently. And
the dog couldn't decide if like it was a chew toy or it would kill me.
It looks like one of those weird bones you get at the store that you're like, what is this really for? I've seen these at a different store. Yeah, I don't get those for my dog. He'd probably like them, but I don't get them for him. No. Yeah. But yeah, that's that. I also wanted to do. I mean, Apple owes me money. Since FaceTime's been a thing, I've been saying that you should be able to leave FaceTime voicemails, which I know what everybody's saying. It's a video, Caleb. That's just a video. You send it to someone, take it, send it. But that's inconvenient to log out of, like, close the FaceTime, take a video, and then send it to them. You should be able to, when they don't answer, have the option, like a phone call, to send a FaceTime voicemail. And they're now doing it in their latest iOS update. And so they owe me royalties for that. That's been my idea forever. Yeah.
No credit, huh?
No, they didn't even think to mention my name. I watched their introduction of it. No, nothing.
Unreal.
Yeah. Ideas guy. I told you I'm an ideas guy.
We'll just keep tweeting at them until they give you something.
Bingo. Everybody do that right now. Oh gosh. Oh. So if Joey FaceTimes you, don't answer.
Yeah,
do not answer. Do not answer.
No.
Golly. Is that like an OnlyFans deal? Like, what's going on?
Because I feel like that's the only time if I'm calling you, I'm FaceTiming you. 9 times out of 10.
You don't FaceTime me that much.
I mean, like when I do, you don't answer.
If I'm calling to talk to, well, I mean, you catch me in some compromising positions. You always call me when I'm using the bathroom. It's so weird. Well, I shouldn't say always. 9 times out of 10. Going back to that.
I'm glad I don't FaceTime you.
Yeah, that's why I don't. That's why I don't answer your face. I didn't. If I don't answer your FaceTime and call you back, I was using the bathroom, and you always give me a hard time. This man's always shitting. Yeah, I am, Landon. Big shitter. Okay, let it go.
Yeah, this man's got problems.
I mean, actually, but
maybe
yeah,
the AT&T guy when he comes looks at the Wi-Fi, maybe he can look at that too.
Take care of it. Man of many talents.
Yeah. That's all I got.
That's it for me. Just know that if Landon doesn't FaceTime you, you're probably not his friend. So that's hurtful, but true.
Whatever, dude. I talked to you for 40 minutes today on the phone.
We did talk for a while today. It was probably longer than that because we had to hang up.
Yeah.
Let's see how long that was.
I was
probably breathing hard. I was grinding while we were on the phone.
Grinding at what?
I was working,
Oh.
getting stuff done. Yeah, we talked for 42 minutes the first time, and then we talked for 20 minutes the second time.
Dang.
Yep.
I might have to buy new minutes.
Yeah, dude. Like you after 6 p.m., please.
Yeah.
My parents are gonna be pissed about this one.
All right. All right, guys. Well, that's all we got. Thanks for listening. Have a good Friday. If you're traveling down to Hattiesburg, give them hell. And Caleb, anything else?
No, guys. Thanks for always listening, being a part of the show. Always working on new and exciting things. So let's do it.
Love y'all. We're bringing the boat in, and we out.